The Valentini estate's library at 9:14 p.m. on a Tuesday was lit by the single green banker's lamp and a fire in the marble hearth. Vivienne sat in the wing chair with her ankles crossed and a glass of port in her hand. Across from her, on the leather couch, sat a small, gray-haired Sicilian woman in a black church dress with her hands folded in her lap and her wedding ring polished to a high shine. Nonna Russo, Sienna's grandmother, 76 years old. She had come for tea. She had also come for war. Vivienne sipped her port.
Mrs. Russo, thank you for coming.
Signora Valentini, thank you for inviting me.
Vivienne, please.
Vivienne. Then Anna.
A pause. Anna Russo lifted her own glass, water, no ice, lemon, and tasted it once.
Vivienne, I have raised this girl since she was 8 years old. I have buried my son. I have buried my daughter-in-law. I am old. I am tired. I have one granddaughter, and your son is taking her into a house I am afraid of.
I understand.
Do you?
My mother-in-law said the same thing to me in 1982. About my husband, about this house. She was right to be afraid.
And
I am still here.
Anna Russo studied her. Anna Russo was famously hard to charm. Anna Russo had once made the parish priest cry.
Vivienne, I am going to ask you a question, and I want a true answer. Will my granddaughter ever be in danger because of your son?
Vivienne set down her port. She looked Anna Russo full in the face.
Less danger than she would have been in alone. More danger than she would have been in married to a banker. Yes, real danger. Some days. Not most days. Less every year that he ages out of the business. But yes. Anna, I am not going to lie to you. There is risk. There has always been risk. There always will be.
Anna Russo nodded once.
Will he love her?
He already does.
Will he respect her?
He already does.
Will he defor her?
Vivienne's eyes did not flicker.
He would have died for her last Sunday in a chair if she had not moved him 3 feet.
Anna Russo closed her eyes for a long moment. When she opened them, they were wet.
Then he can have her.
The Brooklyn Parish Church of Santa Lucia at 11 a.m. on a Sunday in late September smelled like beeswax candles and old incense, and Anna Russo lit a candle for her son at the side altar with her granddaughter on her left and the Dawn of New York on her right, and the parish priest, who had baptized Sienna Russo 23 years ago, watched this configuration from the vestry doorway and crossed himself slowly. After Mass, the three of them walked back to the apartment in Queens for lunch. Dante carried the groceries. Anna walked between them on the cracked sidewalk with one hand on each of their elbows. She talked the whole way. She told Dante about Sienna's first burn at 5 on a saucepan handle. She told him about Sienna's first dish at 7, fried zucchini blossoms her grandmother had cried over. She told him about the day Sienna had won a junior chef competition at 14 and how Sienna had given the prize money to her brother because Marco had needed new tires. Dante listened. He laughed in the right places. He did not interrupt. At the front door of the apartment, Anna patted his cheek.
You are good, Figlio, but you have not eaten my arancini yet. Do not be cocky.
She made him arancini, 5 of them. Pork ragu in the center, perfect golden crust, a single anchovy fillet inside one of them as a test he did not know he was being given. He ate all 5. He did not flinch at the anchovy. He licked his thumb at the end. Anna nodded to herself.
You will do. After
lunch, in the kitchen, while Sienna did the dishes, Anna sat across from Dante at the little table and laid down her cards.
I have one rule. If you marry my granddaughter, you marry her in this church. Not in some hotel, not at the estate. Here, where her father was baptized, where her mother was confirmed, where I will be buried. Capisci?
Dante nodded once.
Capisco.
And one more thing.
Yes.
You will teach me to make her favorite. The bagna coda, your mother's recipe, the one with the cream.
Anna's smile was small and fierce.
Because I want to feed her too.
Dante laughed.
Yes, ma'am.
The marble staircase at the Valentini estate at 718A. on a Monday caught the rising sun across its banister at exactly the angle Sienna Russo's grandmother had told her to look for, and Sienna, walking down with her hair still wet from the shower, stopped at the third step and turned in a slow circle in the empty foyer and felt, for the first time, that this house had become hers. In the breakfast room, Lorenzo was reading the Wall Street Journal. Vivienne was on her second espresso. Aria was scrolling on her phone and complaining about a girl who had subtweeted her. Nico was eating a stack of pancakes the size of his head, his hand still in a brace. Sienna walked in. Every head looked up. "Good morning, buongiorno, cara." She started cooking. She made eggs the way Vivienne liked them, soft scrambled, finished off heat. She made Lorenzo a single buttered slice of yesterday's bread, toasted dark, with a smear of fig jam. She made Aria a smoothie of Greek yogurt, frozen mango, and ginger because Aria was on a tour prep diet. She made Nico 3 more pancakes because Nico would die if she made him 2. Dante came in last, in a charcoal suit, with his briefcase. He stopped behind her at the stove. He put his hand on the small of her back. "What is the chef making for me this morning?" "Whatever I want. Sit down." He sat down. She made him a single hand-rolled cornetto with chocolate inside it because she had been thinking, on the staircase, about the morning he had eaten her sandwich in the back of the SUV. She set it in front of him. He took one bite. He looked up at her. He smiled the smile he had only ever shown her, and the rest of the family pretended not to see, because they had seen it now 100 times, because in this house, the Don of New York smiled at the woman in the chef coat every single morning of the week. Sienna sat down between him and his father. She started eating her own breakfast. Outside, a car horn honked on Sutton Place. Inside, the family ate together. The federal courthouse at Foley Square at 9:31 a.m. on a Tuesday in November was wrapped in fall light, and Marco Greco walked through the side door of the building in a navy suit with his hands cuffed in front of him, and on the other side of the prosecutor's table, in the gallery, sat a 23-year-old woman in a black skirt and a charcoal blazer with her hand in the hand of the man across the aisle from Marco Greco's family. Sienna Russo had been waiting 22 years to see this. The judge entered. The bailiff called the case. The prosecution read the charges. 22 counts. Racketeering. Conspiracy. Murder. Murder for hire. Attempted murder of a federal witness. Conspiracy to commit murder. Witness tampering. Ordering the murder of Antonio Russo in 1998, the bombing of the Valentini estate dining room, the attempted poisoning of Don Lorenzo Valentini, the assault on Nicholas Valentini, the arson of Russo's plate, racketeering, racketeering, racketeering. Marco Greco did not look at her once. His lawyer entered a plea, not guilty. The judge set the trial date, 6 months, no bail, federal lockup. The bailiff led Marco Greco out the side door. Sienna did not breathe until he was gone. In the rotunda outside the courtroom, the press was waiting. 3 networks, the Times, the Post. They knew Dante Valentini was in the gallery. They had not known Sienna would be. A reporter shouted, "Miss Russo! Miss Russo, can you confirm that you are engaged to Mr. Valentini?" Sienna stopped. She turned. Dante was beside her. The signet ring caught the light. She lifted her chin. "I am not yet, but I'm going to be." The press exploded. Dante, 2 feet from her shoulder, looked down at her with an expression his mother had never seen and she was watching, and his father had never seen, and he was watching, and his sister had never seen and she was watching, with her phone live streaming to 900,000 people. He said, into the microphones, in a voice the city had not heard in 5 years.
She is correct.
The Valentini estate's main staircase at 6:42 p.m. on a Saturday was lit by 60 hand-rolled beeswax candles in iron sconces. Anna Russo's idea, executed by Mrs. Carmela in 2 days. And at the top of the staircase, Sienna Russo stood in a navy silk dress that had belonged to Vivienne's mother in 1956, taken in 3 inches at the waist, with Anna Russo's pearl earrings on and her own grandmother's gold cross at her throat. Below her, in the foyer, every face she had come to love stood waiting. Lorenzo at the bottom of the staircase in a black suit, holding her arm because her own father could not. Vivienne in the front row in dove gray. Aria on the second row, filming, mascara already running. Nico beside her, holding his casted hand carefully against his chest. Anna Russo in a black dress and a defiant red lipstick. Marco Russo with Joanna on his arm. Tomas and Mrs. Carmela. and 40 other people Sienna had cooked for in 2 years. And at the bottom of the staircase, in a black suit and the signet ring, looking up at her with the face of a man who had finally been allowed to ask the question out loud. Dante Valentini. He held the plum-colored velvet box in his left hand. Sienna descended. At the bottom of the staircase, Lorenzo placed her hand in Dante's hand and stepped aside. Dante did not kneel. He had already asked, once, on a Tuesday night, in a kitchen, over a plate of spaghetti. He took her hand. He opened the box. He took out the small gold ring with the garnet Lorenzo's mother's, Vivienne's, now hers. He slid it onto her finger. He said, "Sienna Russo," out loud, "will you marry me?" She said yes. The candles on the staircase flickered. The foyer erupted. Vivienne wept openly for the first time her children had ever seen. Anna Russo lifted her water glass. In the kitchen, Mrs. Carmela checked the timer on the roast. The night was just beginning.
The Valentini estate's wrought iron driveway gate flew open at 11:42 p.m. to a black armored SUV that came down the cobblestones at 50 miles an hour and stopped 6 inches short of the front steps. And Tomas Reyes jumped out of the passenger side in a tuxedo with the bow tie still loose around his neck and his face the color of wet concrete.
"Boss, now."
Dante set down his champagne. He stepped away from Sienna. The engagement party in the ballroom kept going. 60 guests, a string quartet, Aria laughing about something with her cousins. In the foyer, Thomas held up his phone. The screen showed a security camera still from a federal correctional facility in Otisville, 20 minutes earlier. 2 guards on the floor. Marco Greco's cell door open. A laundry cart at the loading bay.
Marco Greco escaped from federal custody 45 minutes ago. The Bureau is still trying to confirm. The transport van was hijacked at a county road intersection in Sullivan County. 3 deputies are dead. Marco Greco is in the wind.
Dante did not move.
How? Inside man. I don't know who. Yet.
Sienna had come up behind Dante. She had heard. Her face was still in party makeup. The garnet ring caught the foyer light.
Dante.
I know.
This was planned. He waited for tonight on purpose. He saw the announcement in the press. He knew we'd be here.
I know.
Thomas's voice was tight.
Boss, we have to assume he's coming tonight to this house.
Dante was already moving. He crossed the foyer to the panel by the front door, lifted the brass cover, and turned the key in the lockdown switch. Across the estate, every external door bolted, every window shutter dropped, every gate sealed. The chandeliers in the ballroom flickered once, and the music kept playing because Vivienne, who had heard the lockdown alert in her earpiece, had already nodded to the quartet to keep playing. Aria came running into the foyer holding her skirt up.
What? Mom said don't panic. What is happening?
Dante turned. His face was the Don's face. The signet ring caught the light.
Marco Greco is out. Get the family into the safe room. Now.